this evening for the later start. We had a few minor technical difficulties. I hope that they've been resolved so we can carry on here. So I'll start again and welcome everyone to Aurora's Committee of Adjustment meeting this evening. Before we get to the agenda, first, we would like to start by acknowledging that the land on which we live and work is the traditional and treaty territory of the Anishinaabe and many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As a municipality, Aurora has shared responsibility for the stewardship of this land. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit, recognized through Treaty Number 13, as well as the Williams Treaties of 1923, a shared understanding of how the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and of how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. I will start by introducing the committee members and staff. I am the committee chair, and my name is Tom Plamondon. And the remaining members of the committee this evening are as follows. Daniel Lajeunesse is our vice chair. He's joined by Steve D'Angeli and David Mango. Away this evening is Linda Duringer, and she is out of the country. The secretary treasurer is Peter Fan, and the planner this evening is Sean Lapina. The committee council coordinator is Linda Bottas. This public meeting is being audio and video recorded. It is also being conducted virtually through the use of Zoom technology. Your name, address, comments, and any other personal information are being recorded according to the Municipal Act and the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This will help our town clerk prepare accurate minutes and to create a record that is available to the general public, including on the town's website. Questions about this collection should be directed to the town clerk. Please be advised that the reports being considered tonight are available on the Town of Aurora website and through the staff at the town's planning department. Should you wish to receive notification of any of the decisions of tonight's meeting, please complete the appropriate form available through town staff. Owners and agents will automatically be notified. For each application that will be considered tonight, the following process will occur. I will briefly outline the purpose of the applications, and then the applicant or agent will then be given an opportunity to make a presentation. However, one is not required. It is the applicant's decision whether they wish to speak or let the application proceed on the merits of the information as received. Presentations and deputations are limited to 5 minutes as much as possible. Following any initial comments from the applicant, I will invite members of the public who have an interest in the application to come forward and address the committee. Those members of the public who wish to speak must clearly state their name and address and must provide this information to the secretary treasurer. Should you wish to obtain a copy of the notice of decision, please complete the appropriate form, again available through the secretary treasurer. Members of the public are reminded that text comments are not permitted during the meeting and that they will not be noted in any manner at any time. Each individual may speak only once on an issue, and once discussion has commenced in respect of a motion, no further presentations shall be made. If you require any technical assistance with your presentation, please let me know. And if you wish to speak and are currently following this meeting on the YouTube feed, you will need to turn this feed off and join the live meeting, as there is a slight delay between the YouTube feed and the live feed. Please ensure that all questions and or comments are directed through me as the chair. And if relevant, I will request the appropriate person respond. It should be noted that the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to any question or comments should the committee feel that it is appropriate. So tonight's meeting will now commence. And I will look for a motion on the approval of the agenda for this evening. Daniel, see your hand up there, so go right ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. I move that the agenda as circulated for the meeting dated September 8th be accepted as circulated.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder on that? David, thank you very much. And I'll call a question. All in favor? And that carries unanimously. Thank you. I'll ask members of the committee if there are any declarations of pecuniary interest. Daniel, yes.
Thank you, through the chair. As you might be aware, I am running for a seat in Aurora Council. I will be, or I am trying to win Ward 2. And as a result, there is one item in front of us, MV-2022-24, which is item 2 on our list. That falls under that ward. And as a result, I would like to recuse myself from said case.
Okay, thank you, Daniel, for pointing that out. Are there any other declarations of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? And seeing none. So when we get to that item, which is going to be next, I believe, we'll just ask Daniel then, because we are doing this through Zoom technology, we're going to ask Daniel to turn off his video feed. We will ask him then to rejoin the meeting following that item's conclusion. And I'll note that because we do have 3 members then, we will still have quorum. So we'll be able to continue and deal with that item when it comes up. Okay. Moving on then, receipt of the minutes. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on August the 11th, and that's meeting number 22-08. I'll look to committee for a motion. Seeing David there. Yes, David, please go right ahead.
Through the chair, I move that the Committee of Adjustment minutes from meeting number 22-08 be approved as secreted. Thank you.
Thank you. Look for a seconder, please. Stephen, see that, and I'll call a question. All of those in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. All right, so moving on to the presentation of applications. Item 6.1, this is MV minor variance MV 2022-13. There is a request to defer this item to a future meeting. So with that, I'm going to need a motion then from the committee in order to defer that. Stephen, yes, please go right ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that with respect to minor variance application MV-2022-13, that is for 235-2107 Ontario Inc., 1588 St. John's Side Road, that we defer this application to a future meeting as agreed between the town and the applicant.
Thank you very much. Look to the committee for a seconder, please. Seeing Daniel, thank you very much, Daniel. I'll call a question. All of those in favor of the deferral. And that carries. Thank you. Moving forward to item 6.2 on the agenda. This is minor variance for 51 Len Smith Drive for, I believe it is Montoni and Din. And this is file number MV 2022-24. The owner applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to facilitate the construction of a 2-story addition to the existing detached house. The following relief is being requested. Section section 4.20 of the zoning bylaw states that steps shall not be closer than 4.5 meters from the front lot line. The applicant is proposing front steps 3.74 meters from the front property line. Just for the record there, and I'll note that Daniel has removed himself from the meeting at this point. The applicant's stated reason for not complying with the zoning bylaw, as stated in the application form, as a result of the grading on the lot, 3 steps are required to access the new porch. With regards to planning comments and the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance meets the general intent of the official plan. And with regards to the variance meeting the general intent of the zoning bylaw, again, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance meets the general intent of the zoning bylaw. With regards to its being appropriate development of the property, it is staff's opinion that the proposed, sorry, my computer just jumped here, that the proposed addition will continue to be in keeping with other surrounding properties and the neighborhood at large. Staff are of the opinion that this is appropriate development for the site. And finally, with regards to the minor variance being considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is a minor deviation from the standard in the zoning bylaw. Staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is minor in nature. Other comments following circulation, building division preliminary zoning review was completed on June 24th, 2022. Engineering division have no comments or concerns with the proposed application. Operational services, parks. Park staff recommend that the committee impose the following condition if the application is approved: that the owner may be required to provide an evaluation report prepared by a certified arborist or professional registered forester outlining all aspects of the impacts of this proposal will have on existing and current and remaining vegetation. In addition, the report shall include a schedule of monitoring the ongoing site work through a series of scheduled site visits by the arborist, forester, during and post construction, that the owner may be required to provide vegetation compensation and replanting plan in accordance with the Town of Aurora tree removal, pruning, and compensation policy, and that the owner shall agree to comply with the Aurora tree permit bylaw number 5850-16 prior to the removal of any trees on the property. The owner shall agree to provide financial securities based on the total value of the tree compensation evaluation and all arboricultural works as defined by the town and the owner's arborist or forester, and that all of the above shall be included as terms and conditions in a letter of undertaking with the town of Aurora. Operational services, public works have no comments. Central York Fire, no comments or concerns. York Region, no comments or concerns with the proposed application. LSRCA had no comments received at the time of the writing of the report. Electric Utilities have reviewed the proposed variance application and have no objections to its approval, subject to its standard conditions. I will not go through those. I do not believe there were any public written comments received, and there wouldn't be any attached. There are conditions of approval, and they are contained in Appendix A. And with that, I'll ask if the owner or agent is with us this evening.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I am.
Good evening and welcome. I'll just ask you to identify yourself and provide us with an address, please.
Certainly. My name is Deborah Alexander. I'm with Alexander Planning. We're at 63 Gunning Crescent in Tottenham.
And Deborah, do you wish to make a presentation this evening?
I did have a brief presentation. I sent some slides in to Peter earlier. I don't know if he can bring those up for us.
So Peter, if you've got those and can pull them forward, that would be appreciated.
Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Sure, no problem.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Peter. Again, my name is Deb Alexander with Alexander Planning. We represent the owner of property at 51 Lensmith Drive. If you could go to the next slide, Peter, please. Thank you. This property is located on the north side of Lensmith Drive. It's southeast of the intersection of Bathurst and Wellington Street, where that little red pin is. You could, next slide again, Peter. Thank you. So this property contains an existing 2-story dwelling. The owner is proposing the construction of a 2nd-story addition and a porch. As you can see in this picture, the front door of the house is raised. The grading on the site drops from a high point on the west property line, which is over on the left side, to a low point at the driveway. So as a result of that, this design includes 3 steps to access the new porch. As mentioned previously, the zoning bylaw does permit front steps to encroach up to 2 meters, provided that they are no closer than 4.5 meters from the lot line. So in this case, we're only encroaching 0.76 meters, but that does bring us to within 3.74 of the front lot line, which necessitated this variance. Next slide, Peter, please. I've marked the variances here. There are no other variances required. This variance is appropriate for the development and it's consistent with the character of this neighborhood. The requested variance is minor in nature, desirable for the use of the property. It maintains the intent and purpose of the official plan in the zoning bylaw and meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. So as such, I'm respectfully requesting that the committee approve this variance for us tonight. And as always, I'm pleased to answer any questions which committee or members of the public might have. And thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Deborah. That's presentation's much appreciated. I note in the circulation from Linda Bautis that there are no delegations this evening on this application. So I will turn this over to other members of the committee with any comments or questions on this application. Yes, David, go right ahead, please.
Through the chair, thank you, Deborah, for your presentation. Just have a minor, maybe a minor question, just to check. Was there any attempt made to reduce the intrusion of the addition to match the existing garage? Basically, you see on your one of your plans there, the line of new wall. Was there any attempt to move it back to match the existing garage line and therefore reduce the amount of encroachment of the stairs?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the porch was pulled back so that the encroachment was only 25 centimeters. But the objective of this porch enlargement was to bring the entrance forward to increase its presence on the streetscape, because right now it's tucked in behind the garage. And the idea behind bringing it forward is to make a more inviting entrance to the home.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, David. Yeah, Stephen, any comments or questions?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you once again, Deborah, for the presentation. personally, I do appreciate that answer to my my colleague's question as well. I just as a matter of personal preference, I prefer a design that does not showcase a garage, but showcases a house instead. So I think that is actually increasing the character of the community, even though I note that it does jut forward a marginal amount in comparison to the abutting properties. I also did note through the design that it is impossible to have stair access on the side of, it wouldn't work with this design. So that's something else that I generally look at, but that would obviously encroach on the garage and the driveways or have access at the far side. So that didn't make sense either. The one question I do have, I noticed that there is a tree in at the front of the property. I do see the condition, but I do believe the tree is a fair distance away. And but I'd like to confirm: is there any intention of doing any alteration to the tree?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, there's no intention to touch anything near the front tree.
Fantastic. So I'm assuming that you and your client are aware of the conditions that are set in the report, and you have no issues with those?
Through you again, Mr. Chair, we did discuss it with staff, and we've talked about the requirement for tree fencing and things like that, and that's fine with us.
Fantastic. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I have no further questions on this file.
Thank you very much. David, did you want to?
Yeah, just
add?
through the chair, just a follow-up question. Can you confirm that there will be tree protection measures for, around the tree?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. In satisfaction of the condition, we will have to work with Parks Department and have a tree protection fencing installed, and that will have to be inspected, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
Terrific. And just to reiterate a little bit here, when I drove by, I looked at the way this is set up. It would be very difficult to have those stairs and porch in a different configuration without impacting the existing driveway and maneuvering of vehicles and stuff. So I think that that you've addressed the concerns that we've raised, and the variance, in my opinion, is very minor in nature. So I certainly don't have any problem supporting it. So with that, I don't believe we have anything further to add to this application. I'll look to David or Steve for a recommendation on this application. Steve, if you want to go ahead, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair. Oh, I lost the 1 second here. I'm on one screen tonight. Thank you. So through you, Mr. Chair, with respect to minor variance application MV-2022-24, Montoni Din, 51 Len Smith Drive, I move that we approve the application subject to the conditions outlined in Appendix A of the staff report.
Thank you very much. Seconder, please. David, all right. Calling the question, all of those in favor, and that carries. Thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presentation, and have yourself a very good evening.
You too. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right. And I'll ask, there he is. Daniel is back. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to the next item, 6.3 in the agenda. This is Kudrati at 23 Glass Drive, file number MV 2022-31. So the owner applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended relating to a existing carport. The following relief is being requested. A, section 7.5.1.1 states the minimum setback of a carport having no habitable rooms above and attached to a semi-detached dwelling can be 1 meter. The applicant is proposing to construct, the applicant is proposing to construct an attached carport which is 0.5 meters from the side property line. As background, the applicant built an unenclosed carport without a building permit. The applicant was issued an order to comply on May the 6th, 2022. A building permit was applied for on June 3rd, 2022. A deficiency letter was issued on June 17th, 2022 by the building department during the review of the building permit application. A preliminary zoning review was applied for and was issued on August the 5th, 2022 to the applicant. A minor variance was applied for on August the 8th of 2022. The applicant's stated reasons for not complying with the zoning bylaw, as stated on the application form, setback of the carport to the property line by law permit only 1.2 meter for single-story buildings. We are looking to have 0.53 meter in front corner and 0.75 meter in rear corner of carport. And it's, please refer to a zoning table and drawings for more information. So that information was provided as a reason for the application. With regards to the general intent of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the intent of the official plan is being maintained. And with regards to the variance meeting the general intent of the zoning bylaw, staff are of the opinion that the 0.5 meter setback to the property line for the carport meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. And with regards to the variance considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the carport is desirable and appropriate development of the land. And with regards to it being considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the variance is considered minor. Building division, under additional comments, the preliminary zoning review was completed on August 9th, 2022. Engineering division, operational services parks, operational services public works, Central York Fire, York Region, all providing comments comments provided stating no comments with the proposed application from all of those. LSRCA, no comments received at the time of writing of the report. And Electric Utilities have reviewed the proposed variance application and have no objections to its approval subject to their standard conditions. No written comments were received at the time of writing of the report. And with regards to condition of approval, there is only one, and that would be that the owner apply for a building permit for the carport. So with that, I will invite the owner or applicant if they wish to make a presentation this evening. Good evening and welcome.
Hello, Mr. Chair and member of the committee. So this is Ehsan Jahani. I'm representing the owner. He's actually here himself as well, Hatem. So if I can share my screen.
And just for the record, can I get address for both individuals, please?
Yeah, this is Ehsan Jahani at 15945 Bayview Avenue. It's in Aurora, Ontario, L4G0S3.
Thank you very much.
Chair, hi, this is Atim Kudrati, 23 Glass Drive, Aurora, L4G 2E5.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So please go right ahead and welcome.
Thank you very much. So as you actually just gone through the report, so this is very minor. We believe it's very minor. That's why we're proposing this very simply. This is the two setbacks. That's actually the location of the proposed carport, which is physically constructed right now on site. And this was actually the concern that we had, which is 0.75 at the back and 0.53 in front. So this is almost half of the required by bylaw. The bylaw was 1 meter, so and now we are on 0.53 almost. This was a concern, a main concern on this project. So and then the other item was to give some kind of basically hard space, hard surfaces at the back, which we have enough space to provide that. So that's it. I think this is just a very simple minor variance that we applied for and then we are presenting down here. Tom, do you want to add something on this? Or?
No, thank you. I'll just wait if there are any questions for me.
Yeah, at the conclusions, I strongly believe this is something that we can actually go ahead with that, and we'll be happy to hear from the member of committee and Mr. Chair then.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I note that there are no members of the public who have registered to appear as delegations on this item. So I will now turn to members of the committee for any comments or questions to the applicants. If you want to return to the full meeting group, we can, yeah, that's great. So we can see everyone. All right, so with that, I'll look to the members of the committee then with any comments or questions. I'll just start just very much as a background and ask the applicant, when was the carport built? Just so we all know.
It was built in mid-May of this year.
Mid-May this year.
It was innocently built, not understanding the expectation. And as soon as I received the letter from the town, I've tried to comply to the best of my ability, and hopefully I'm hopeful that I can achieve and I can work with the town to make it as per requirement.
And how long have you owned the property then?
4.5 years.
Okay. All right. That's just a little bit of background information. I'm sure that would have come up in the discussion regardless, but I think that just sets the sets some preliminary questions that we would all have. Look to the members then of the committee then for comments or questions. I see Steve's hand up there, so please go right ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, a question to the applicant. You know, normally in these cases, we see a letter from the neighbors. I mean, it's not required, but have you talked to the neighbor at I believe it would be 21, if I'm not mistaken, you know, and got their opinion?
Through the chair again, I had a conversation initially before construction, and he had no objections. Reason being is because in both our understanding, he was of the understanding that he's getting an extra 0.5 meter. He anyway has issues parking his car. If you see the drawing, there's 2.04 meters in his side. And as I mentioned, I want to give you some space, and thinking that when the rainwater will collect, it should not go in his property. That was my understanding. So he was more than happy to allow me, and I think it was a mutual understanding. And the owner was present when this was being built, and this was confirmed with him. And that is why I went through with this.
Oh, thank you for that. Through you, Mr. Chair. I did. I stopped by the property today a short time ago, and you know, in fact, I talked with your neighbor. He happened to be out there having a smoke. Now, what I did see there, and it's actually a good thing that he was there, because I took a look at it, and it's very tight on his side. Recognizing that you're still within your property, he had a pickup truck parked there between the carport and his house, and there were also 2 other cars on the driveway. So I mean, he needs that space, and I noted that it's very tight. Once again, recognizing that that is still your property, but it does impact him, his use being that close. However, I speaking to your neighbor, it appears that you get along very well. He said, no, I'm not concerned. He's a very good neighbor, and I have no complaints. So, even in the absence of, the letter, I was able to confirm that your neighbor that would be the one most impacted has no concerns, which I think is fortunate, because I do have concerns being that close, and the slope, and as you said, the rain runoff, and and the impact. There is some impact there, but your neighbor is willing to overlook it. And I think you've addressed what happened here. Obviously inclined to give you the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, this isn't the right way to construct in terms of asking for forgiveness after the fact, but as I say, I'm inclined to give you the benefit of the doubt here, and I'm satisfied with this application. Those are my comments. Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Steve. Yeah. And I think we all echo that comment. The committee doesn't see too many applications that come forward because something has been built, as opposed to this is what we would like to do. But in this case, you've clearly indicated, and that was the reason for my question, how long have you been owner of the property, and when was this built? So that also helps clarify things for me. David, I think I saw your hand up there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and again through the chair. I just want confirmation from the applicant in terms of the size of the carport. Was there any attempt to reduce the size of the carport in terms of reducing the encroachment to the property line?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hassan.
So I was physically actually on the site and had about 1 hour of a discussion with Hatem to see what we can really do best in order to actually play around with this existing structure that is there. Because as you mentioned, when something is built and then you want to just play around with it to comply with the code, it's the most challenging things to do. And because there are some foundation in place right now, 4 feet below the grade, and if we want to actually make the size smaller, then we have to get to those kind of piling system that is in place right now. It's going to be a little costly for the owner at this point to actually take them out and just make the structure smaller. So what I did best, tried in terms of design, tried to actually see how we can actually keep those piling and foundation in place and then play around with the structures. Right now, even the one that I propose is exactly a little bit smaller in terms of the joist and all the structure that is coming on top. So there are actually going to be some small touches on this structure, and it's going to cause that to be a little bit smaller. And that's what we did on the drawing. So I don't know if you want to see the drawings, I can actually pull that out, but that's my response to these questions. I don't know, Hatem, what do you think yourself? Do you think any idea on this?
I think that's a fair response as far as I'm looking at it. The whole idea was during the construction, again, this was an innocent build. The neighbor was involved through every process. And I actually confirmed with him, I'm like, you were getting, in fact, he was of the opinion that if you were to build a boundary wall or something to build a wall, it would impact him even more. And I'm like, no, that is not the intention here. And I want to work with him in that case. So we worked with this together, and that is how the carport ended up built. And in my head, I thought this is a temporary structure. It should not require any permits, but I was unfortunately wrong to understand that and to assume that.
And just to add that, sorry to interject that time, just to add that, I mean, when you look at this structure physically and visually, it's really, there's no blockage down there. So there's, as Otam said, there's no physical wall really there that is blocking, even the visual communication between two neighbors. So yeah, just wanted to add this one as well.
Okay, so my question actually, if you look at the other way, what I was asking is, if you within the porch itself, you have got the extra space or not, because sometimes you make sure you have the car fitting there, and then people are able to walk around and able to open doors and so on. I've seen cases where one cannot open the door, the car has to be parked to one side more and open only one side. So if there's no extra room, then that's what it is. But that's what my question was. Like sometimes you have too much room that you see that there's no need of having too much room, but you would actually have reduced the porch. But I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll ask Daniel if he has any comments or questions on the application.
Honestly, my questions have been asked by both yourself and Steve, so I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Just a couple of, again, just observations and just for clarity's sake. Mr. Jahani, did you do these drawings that were submitted
Yes.
with the application?
Yes.
And I noticed on the drawings, I've got a project number 2019-05 dated 2019-05-15. Were these drawn specifically for this property, or was this something that you had and was able to explain?
No, this is our mistake. So please accept our apology. So that was not prepared in 2019. So this is actually not updated in terms of the date. If you want to look at the correct date, actually it's on the right side of the sheet, which says 24th of the 7th, 2022. So that's actually the correct date of issuance of this drawings. The one that you see on the title sheets, yeah, those are not the correct ones. Yeah, that's a project number actually down there, which is coming to the date.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying that. I when I saw it, I just wasn't sure, what came first.
No, you're absolutely right. That's actually the project number, but yeah, that's 2020. If you look at the right side, the correct date is actually vertically being written on every pages.
Right.
Yeah, on the bottom right corner of every sheet.
Let me ask you another question, because so we're 15645 Bayview Avenue is the address on the top right corner there.
That's right.
And I'm curious, I look at this and these are very professional drawings.
That's right.
And I know that in the signature block, you are a designer.
Yes.
And I'm curious why there wouldn't have been even a general query. Would a permit be required for something like this? This seems to be very professionally done by a professional. One would think that, a carport, albeit, something to a lot of people that might be a minor project, or in some other cases, a major project. Why we wouldn't be thinking, wow, this is close to the property line. We should be checking zoning regulations first.
Correct. This is actually, as you mentioned earlier in the meetings, that this project was existed when I came to basically a contract with the client. So I was trying to see first how much is the area of this to see if we can actually get rid of the permits. But the area is actually more than the requirements that we have. And there are some structural, basically, stability on this, that even if the permit would not be required on this kind of structures, then the hazard and the safety of the structures need to be checked against the Ontario Building Code, right? So this was the reason that I actually we directly get into the path of the committee of adjustment with the clients. So yeah, that was the whole idea of it.
But it was an oversight that you didn't do it. It was an oversight that you didn't check with the town, is what you're saying.
Yes, but I did not design this structure basically initially, right? So this was done by somebody else, probably who was not a BCIN or who was not even the designer at first. Then
Right.
I basically what you see on the drawing they submitted, these are the things that I tried to comply that with the building codes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That answers and clarifies that for me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay. I do not.
Through the chair, I have just a question to the town, just for a confirm, if you don't mind.
By all means.
So, okay, one of the conditions is that the applicant, if this is approved, should apply for building permit. So I want just to understand the process here. They had already applied for building permit and had comments. So the building permit is still there. Why do they have to apply for another building permit? Because I
John?
can see they provided the comments. It's now like we're going through this now as because of the building permit, and they commented they found deficiencies, and it's being resolved. So if maybe could you explain a little bit of the process of why they have to apply for another one, or is it necessary to apply for another one? In other words, it's not necessary. There's no need of having that condition for them to apply for another building permit. So if you can explain.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I mean, that's a standard condition, and I think we could all agree that things have pretty much been done out of sequence in this case. I think that condition was added by the planner just to ensure that, you know, if everything was followed within the proper sequence, that they would have afterwards had to apply for a building permit. So again, it's standard, but it's there as well just to ensure that the building permitting process is followed. You know, wanting to make sure that in the event of minor variance approval, that the applicant, you know, is aware that they need to continue on with the building permitting process. So it's more of a formality, I suppose you could say at this point.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. You know, and one final comment from me. You know, we talk about half a meter being not an awful lot, but when the minimum requirement is only 1 meter, this is a 50% reduction to what's required. That's not insignificant from my perspective. It is significant when there's only half a meter, that albeit, yes, you're within your own property, but I would suggest that from my perspective, the last test of this application being is this minor in nature. I would disagree with that completely. But at the same time, under this condition, under the conditions, I don't, if this had been scoped initially, and when I say scoped initially, if there had been some discussion with staff in the building department, I don't think we would be here today, because quite frankly, the width of this carport is very generous relative to its use covering a vehicle. But I don't, and I think your neighbor, picking up on Steve's comment, is I would have struggled to support this had I not heard that there was a discussion on the site with the neighbor who was prepared to accept it. And if he was prepared to accept it, I think a letter from him or them coming to the committee in advance would have been a very good idea. So, you know, I'm going to suggest that I don't know that I would have supported it, to be honest. But with the comments that I've heard tonight particularly from Steve Dodgely, who had a discussion with your neighbor. When I went by and had a look at it, there was nobody there. But I can tell you that I would have struggled with this one. So those are my closing comments. I'll ask for a motion on this application. David, go right ahead.
Through the chair, I move that the minor variance application MV-2022-31 be approved, subject to the one condition in the staff's report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. I'll ask for a seconder. Steve, I saw your hand come up first there. So with that, I'll call the question. All of those in favor? Terrific. So that carries. So gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us this evening. The committee has voted to approve your request for minor variance. And thank you both for being here, and I'll wish you both a very pleasant evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the members.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. You as well. All right, moving on to the next item, which is 6.4 in the applications. And this is minor variance for Hamel at 310 IVJ Crescent. This is file MV 2022-34. The owner applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to facilitate a covered patio. The following relief is being requested. A, section 24.285.1.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum 6-meter rear yard. The applicant is proposing an enclosed patio with a 4.66 meter rear yard. The applicant's stated reason for not complying with the zoning bylaw. The existing property is pie-shaped. Therefore, because of the odd lot shape and angle of the house on the lot, the back portion of the covered deck is within the rear yard setback. Planning comments with regards to the general intent of the official plan. Staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and that it will have no impact on existing neighborhood character. B, under the general intent of the zoning bylaw, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. With regards to its appropriate development of the land, overall, due to the lot configuration being irregular, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is desirable and appropriate for the development of the property. With regards to it being considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is minor in nature. Additional comments from circulated agencies. The building division completed its zoning review on August 9th, 2022. Engineering division, operational services parks, operational services public works. Comments stating no objections to the proposed application and no comments received, by the way, from operational services public works. Central York Fire, no comments with the proposed application. York Region, no comments. LSRCA, no comments received at the time of the writing of the report. And Electra Utilities, no objections to the approval, subject to their standard comments and conditions. There are no written submissions for or against this application received at the time of writing of the report. And there is only one condition identified in Appendix A, And that would be that the variance applies to the subject property and that it would be in substantial conformity with the site plan attached as Appendix B to the staff report. With the last revised date being August the 2nd of 2022. So with that, I'll ask if the owner or applicant is with us this evening and wish to make a presentation. And I see
Yes,
Frank Rotundo is with us this evening. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Frank Rotundo. I'm acting as the agent on behalf of the homeowner. I just wanted to add a few comments to what you mentioned there in the report.
Can I just get your address for the record, Mr. Rotundo?
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's 66 Rain Tree Crescent, Richmond Hill. Oh, I don't know if you need my postal code or
Sure, go for it.
L4E3T6.
Thank you very much. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to add that this structure is I noticed you mentioned it was a covered deck. It's a covered patio and it's open structure. It's open to the south. It overlooks the existing pool. There are some full height walls on the side just to act as a privacy screen and to block some of the wind. But otherwise it's an open structure, almost like a pavilion type lounge area. Again, because the lot is irregular in shape, the back corner of this pavilion is within the setback. But when you do an area calculation, it's only patio area. It's very minor. It's not that significant, and therefore I don't see any implications on the neighbors having an effect on their properties. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you very much. I think you may have dropped out there a little bit, but I think we got the essence of your comments, and Mr. Rotundo, so thank you very much for that. And again, I do not believe that there are any delegations from the public who are with us this evening. So with that, I'll turn to members of the committee for any comments or questions of the applicant. Daniel, your hand is up there, and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you through the chair. First question, as it is described as a proposed covered patio,
Yes.
to me, covered is fairly broad. And I've searched through materials, and if it was in the original submission, I apologize, I can't seem to find it. Do you have any drawings, renderings, looking towards the proposed patio? What is it going to look like in terms of a covered patio? It's the covering that I'm really asking.
It's a flat roof structure. Yeah, I did submit
Closed?
some elevations.
Yeah, the elevations I saw. Is it a closed, or is it more of that wood pergola style?
No,
Can you just describe what it's going to look like as closed?
It's going to be, it has to be waterproof. They want it waterproof. So it's going to be a closed covered roof. And
Okay.
that's essentially all they really want, is a covered watertight structure, right?
Let me just hold off a sec. So I've seen the drawings, and I'll just ask staff. Sean, is there? Do you have access to the application file with those drawings? And
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just going to take a quick look, see if I can pull that up.
Because Daniel, you're correct. There is some. It was hard to tell from the drawing, so it's a very good question you're bringing forward, and the fact that it's covered is also a very good point that you're bringing forward. Peter, I see that you brought your camera
Yes.
up.
Oh, sorry, I do have them. Can you see them? Is that?
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter. So sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, are you looking for the site plan or the elevations?
I'm looking for the elevations, if you can pull those up. There you go.
Okay.
So perhaps the applicant there, we're looking at the rear of the structure there, and it appears that there are some slatted materials across the back and as well on the sides. Can you elaborate on that? And what is the roof material?
So this is a horizontal siding I have on the walls, and it's just wrapping around the corner. I have full height walls on the side, and then just the return on the back portion. As far as the roof goes, it's just going to be a typical flat roof construction.
I apologize. I don't mean to be dense with that, but when you say typical flat roof, is it a hard surface roof that I would see on a full home, or is it more of a patio style wood roof with more temporary style materials?
Well, it's going to be wood framed with a aluminum fascia around the edges, and then just the built up rubber roof membrane above.
So the material is okay. So we're looking at a couple inches of material. So it's a heavy permanent structure. This is not.
Yes, it's a permanent structure. That's correct.
Okay. The other elevation I was having a hard time was I see that there is a small step, which is not declared, but there's a small step to the hot tub. How much of a step is there between the patio and the pool? Is it similar to the hot tub?
Yeah, the patio and the pool are actually at the same elevation. It's when it wraps around that corner of the house, it starts to drop the elevation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had to estimate the distance between the patio and the pool. It's approximately 2.5 meters.
Between the patio. Hold on, I have my file here.
That corner piece is where I guesstimated. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 2.8 meters.
Okay, so it's close to 3 meters. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just concerned with a big open space. If it was within anything south of 2 meters, I was a little bit concerned. Is there going to be, where are doors going to be to this patio if I was to look at this image?
Well, right now there's already an existing patio there now. It's just not covered, but there's like I believe there's a few steps going down from the patio to the pool deck area, and then there's some landscaping along the edge of the patio as well.
Okay, so I'm just going to nip this in the bud and ask directly to the town. We do not have, or you do not have any concerns when it comes to an elevated patio to a pool with 2.8 meters in between. It does fall within bylaw guidelines.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct. If there was any deficiency, then it would have been noted in the preliminary zoning review as it relates to the bylaw requirements, but there wasn't. So there's no issue.
Okay, the reason why I was asking is because the distance wasn't declared. So that's why I was wondering if it was thought of. Okay, so if the town is fine with the distance and the roof, it's pretty much going from a patio to a more summer style permanent structure. I think I have the information I need. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Daniel. Let me turn to other members of the committee. Stephen, yes, I see your hand up there. Please go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Rotundo. And through you, Mr. Chair, just really one question, simply because Mr. Rotundo, you cut out a little bit there. I think you were making the point that because of the pie-shaped lot, it's just that one corner of the patio that is really encroaching on the side yard setback. And I think you were saying how much of the square what the area of that area of that amount of that portion of the patio is that encroaches. But you cut out. Would you mind? It sounded like you had that figure.
Yeah, so it works out to like 2 square meters. The overall patio is 94 square meters, and the part that encroaches is only 2 square meters, which is less than 2%.
Perfect. No, thank you. That's really good context. And my observation is it's just the portion around the side of the house. So I mean, when I look at the patio, I'm just trying to understand what it is in that portion that is necessary, because I mean, it's not really the patio off the back of the house. So what is it in that portion, that those 2 square meters? Because it seems to go around the house. If through you, Mr. Chair, if I could ask that Peter bring up the site plan again. I mean, at the end of the day, it is minor, but it's the question is, why is it not possible to comply? And I'm just trying to understand what is. So I see it wraps around. Sorry, the first slide that you had there, Peter, was really good with the shaded portion. So the proposed coverage, so I'm seeing it extend, the patio extend towards the side of the house, and it's really a very small portion right here that's encroaching. Why is there a need to go around the house here, just from my understanding?
Around to the side of the house?
Well, yeah, because you've only got on the left portion of what we're seeing on our screen, that's the only portion. It's a very small part that's encroaching, correct? And so, obviously they're looking for a covered patio on the back of their house. Understandable. What is it exactly that requires, or that you're looking to have that patio wrap around, if you will?
It's the rear yard, Steve.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's the rear yard, but it's the only part that encroaches really is the side of the house, right? Or is that shaded part to the left where it's encroaching? What exactly is that? I'm trying to think.
Well, it's on my floor plan. If you can go to the second page,
Yeah.
Peter. Yeah, so this is the layout.
Oh, okay, I see. It's the washroom and the sauna.
Yeah, they're proposing a washroom and sauna.
And the sauna, I see, on the side of the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want the washroom as close to the house as we can for plumbing and everything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. No, I was just trying to understand why that was required and what was in that space. So I do appreciate that. I missed that on the drawings.
Okay.
No, I mean, through you, Mr. Chair, my comment here is, I mean, it's a very small portion that is encroaching here. I don't see just that one portion. I don't see a significant impact to the neighbors. I'm comfortable with this application. I'll those are my comments.
Sure. Thank you, Stephen. I didn't mean to jump in there. It was
No, absolutely. Appreciate it.
just the that kitchen barbecue counter at the back there, and that corner. Although that could have been instead of a 90 degree, it could have been a 45 degree corner, and we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
To your point, Steve, why couldn't we comply? Well, you could. And instead of a 90 degree there, it would have been a 45, and it might have created a little bit, less of a pronounced corner. But okay. All right. Thank you, Peter, for pulling that up. David, did you have any comments on the application?
Actually, not now. I think Steve has covered my question I was going to ask. Basically, in general, I was going to ask, it's about 6.1 meters from the house on that portion there. Seem to be very, very wide. Why do you need to have all that very wide, porch? That is like just too much. But that's my question, which of course Steve already touched on that.
Yeah.
But don't worry answering that. But it's just something I was just wondering that it's very wide and making it giving all those issues. is something which the chair, Tom, mentioned about cutting the side and wouldn't be here, you know, so other members have already covered, but that's okay. I don't have to ask any question and you don't have to answer anything. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. And yeah, I just, you know, for the record, I again, we put these regulations in place for a reason. And they're there, and the process is there for people to present a case where a hardship is there, or where you just can't meet the requirements of the regulation. And yet here we are. You know, the impact of what you're doing is minimal relative to the size of the covered patio that you want to provide, that your customer, the homeowner wants to have there. You know, I guess the comeback to me would be, well, then we start getting into more complex construction for the roof, et cetera, snow loads and what have you. It could potentially encumber the construction. But in principle, it could have met the requirements of the bylaw without really significantly impacting the homeowner at all. But under this condition, I'm comfortable enough with it to support it. So with that, I'll look to the members of the committee then for a motion on this application. If anyone wants to take a stab at it. Okay, David.
I was leaving it for other members, especially Daniel. I said, I've spoken a lot. Let me give chance to others. But anyway, I'll go ahead. Or should I withdraw? Steve, you want, Daniel, do you want to go ahead? Okay, I'll go ahead. Okay. Through the chair, I move that the minor variance application MV-2022-34 be approved, subject to one condition in the staff's report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Look to the committee for a seconder. Steve, see your hand, and I'll call the question. All of those in favor? Okay, thank you all. Mr. Rotundo, we've discussed this at length, and you've heard the comments that we've made. And at the end of the day, the committee felt that there was enough support there for you to be awarded this minor variance. So I'll wish you a very pleasant evening, sir. Okay. And thank you very much for being here this evening.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. This application is for 10 Bovaird Trail. The owner, Simon Moo, and this is minor variance 2022-33. The applicant is requesting relief from the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to facilitate the development of a garage addition, a covered deck, and an uncovered deck. The following relief from the requirements of the town zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended is requested. A, section 18.1.1 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum rear yard setback of 22 meters. The applicant is proposing a garage addition, which is 18.6 meters to the rear property line. And B, section 18.1.2I of the zoning bylaw states that uncovered decks and minor additions, including open-sided roof porches, may be permitted on legally existing residential lots, provided They do not exceed 50 square meters on the ground floor and are located outside the key natural features and hydrological sensitive features. The applicant is proposing to construct a garage addition and covered and uncovered deck. The applicant's stated reasons for not complying with the zoning bylaw. The property is within the Oak Ridges Moraine, which therefore requires a minor variance application. With regards to the general intent of the official plan, the variance as proposed will not adversely affect the ecological integrity of the Oak Ridges Moraine area or any key natural features located on site. It is the opinion of staff that the proposed variance maintain the general intent of the official plan. B, meeting the general intent of the zoning bylaw. Through the review of this application, it was determined that the additional space as proposed would not conflict with any key natural features located on the property. As such, staff do not anticipate any adverse impacts to the surrounding properties. Staff are of the opinion that the requested variances meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw. With regards to the variances considered desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land, given the relationship with neighboring properties, staff are of the opinion that because of the appropriate setbacks and screening that will be in place, the potential for any negative impacts will have been mitigated. With regards to the variances being considered minor in nature, staff note that no variance requests that have been made for setbacks to any property line as it pertains specifically to the decks. As previously noted, the decks will not conflict with any key natural heritage features on the subject property. As such, the subject variances are considered by staff to be minor in nature. Other comments received from other departments and agencies. Engineering services have reviewed the above application, have no objections. Building division, no comments provided specifically on the application at the time of writing of the report. Accessibility advisor, the town's accessibility advisor has completed its review of the minor variance and has no comment. Traffic analyst, no comments provided at the time of writing of the report. Operational services, parks have reviewed the documentation for the property associated with the application and have no formal comments. Central York Fire Services, no comments on the subject variance application. The Regional Municipality of York has completed its review and has no comment. Toronto Region Conservation Authority has reviewed the application and offer the following comments for consideration. The subject property is outside of the TRCA's regulated area, therefore the TRCA permit is not required, and that the subject property is located on the Oak Ridges Moraine natural linkage area. And based on the proposed works, garage addition, covered and uncovered deck, TRCA has no concerns or objection to the approval of the application. Electric Utilities have reviewed the proposed variance application and have no objections to its approval, subject to their standard conditions. Hydro One have reviewed the documents concerning the noted plan and have no comments or concerns at the time of its review. We do not have any public correspondence either for or against the application. And I do not believe that there is anyone here from the public who wishes to address the committee. Therefore, I'm going to turn it over to the applicant And I believe we have the architect as well. The owner is with us, and the architect, designer, I believe, is with us as well. So good evening, gentlemen, and if I can get you to identify yourself and provide us with an address, that would be wonderful.
Good afternoon. My name is Hank Nada. I own Nada Home Designs. Our address here is 1789 Merrittville Highway, Welland, Ontario.
Good evening and welcome. And I believe we have the owner as well.
Good evening, Chair. My name is Simon Mao from 10 Beauvais Trail, Aurora, postal code L4G7CA.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Is there, and welcome, is there a presentation of any kind that you wish to make this evening?
Through the chair, there's no presentation we wish to make for this evening. We believe our documentations as submitted is quite adequate, and also in reading the planner's report as well, it's thorough, and I believe all questions have been addressed.
Terrific. Thanks very much. And as I said, there is no one here from the public, so I'm going to just turn this right back over to members of the committee for any comments, questions on this application. So let me just go to members of the committee. And I see Daniel's hand up. Please go right ahead, Daniel.
Thank you. Through the chair. To Mr. Nada, I believe. Can you walk me through, because I was too intimidated to walk into the backyard, so I just stayed on the street and pretty much looked at satellite imagery instead. But there is the fence, the white fence that I could see from the road, which I believe in the elevation map that you provided is going to be, it's going to end up behind or under the patio. Can you just expand on the patio, that retaining wall fence, and how that retaining wall fence will be impacted by the addition of that deck, please?
Thank you. Through the chair, the existing retaining wall and fence will not be impacted at all by the new proposed covered deck, and the portion that's actually going to go expand above and beyond the retaining wall will not impact it at all either, because it will be constructed above and beyond. The retaining wall is there because of the backyard is at a higher elevation than at the ground level that is adjacent to the house itself. And so that whole structure will be independent.
So the deck will also become an access to beyond or to that elevated part of the backyard.
That's correct. That's part of the objective of what our client had wished for this new deck to solve a problem that he has with his family, and that's access to the rear yard. That retaining wall is a considerable height. It's approximately 6 to 7 feet in height, and quite a distance to have to get around. And by providing this new deck structure that goes out and beyond the retaining wall, gains them direct access to the backyard.
Excellent, thank you. I really do not have any questions on the garage side. That I'm fairly comfortable. And I did have, the type of patio, because this is an elevated. If I'm reading my elevations correctly, this is an elevated deck coming from the second story, and therefore there will be a basement that will be underneath the deck. So will this deck be spaced in order to allow sunlight through, or will this be a fairly closed off deck that will become a de facto roof to the basement access?
Good question. Through the chair. First of all, this deck, unfortunately, the other documentation that we submitted was not included with the application. They've only included just the rear elevation. But if you look at the rear elevation, this deck structure is actually connecting to the first story level, where there's an existing patio door system, and there's a small little existing deck off that patio door in the center of the house right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove that small existing little deck and expand that deck out over on top of the out to the backyard as well. The structure of that deck for the roof structure, for example, will be a wood frame structure, asphalt shingles of that nature, sloped. And then the actual construction of the deck itself, we have not finalized yet. If it's to be of a wood frame structure or a composite material, we don't know.
Okay, so it's not the
For the most part, it's
intent.
going to be wide open through the chair. Yeah.
It will be wide
sorry.
open. Okay, so it won't become a de facto new living space that could be closed off. This will remain, that part will remain
Covered deck.
open, covered deck. Okay,
That's
perfect.
correct.
I'm
There's no
guessing there's
intentions
enough
to
living
make it a-
space. Sorry.
That's through the chair. There's no intentions of making it a 3 seasons room or any kind of enclosed structure at all.
Perfect. You answered my last question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Through the chair, I'm good.
Thank you, Daniel. Any comment? Steve, I see your hand up. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. A very quick question. I mean, I see a lot of reference in the report. I understand to key natural heritage features, to key hydrological features. I'm really not, and I see that it says that none are impacted. I'm just curious, which ones are on the property? Are we talking about the woodlot in the backyard? Is that the reference to the key natural heritage features?
Maybe direct that.
Sorry, to the applicant or agent. Yeah.
To the chair, it's to my understanding, it is correct to the rear yard, the requirements of it. Basically, what really has kicked this all is the requirements of the property being within the Oak Ridges moraine zoning.
The linkage lands. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'm seeing there's no impact to any of the environmental features. And sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, it looks like Sean like to confirm that, I guess.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. It is the woodlot located on the property. There
Fair
are
enough.
no water bodies located on the property, but it's primarily the woodlot, yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you. And I see in the report, it's as you referenced, sir, it's a very comprehensive report. I'm comfortable with this application. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. David, any comment or question to the applicant or staff on this?
Just through the chair, just one question, just to confirm. The proposed garage, where do the if I'm assuming it will have roof readers, it will have a roof and so on, where would the roof readers be discharging to? The downspouts?
Where would the water runoff?
Yeah,
Sorry.
the downspouts or roof readers.
Through the chair, the required downspout locations and water runoff will be designed in accordance in such a way to ensure that the water runoff does not go anywhere off the client's property. That must be contained within the property itself, and that will be dealt with during the building permit application process.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm looking at imagining the TRSA. I think they're looking at that's my thought. I won't be wrong that they're looking at the garage is increasing the impervious area, and probably the runoff coming from there is going back to the ground at the back of the house, where it's a lot of green space, and there's a lot of length for water to infiltrate, something like that. Probably that's what maybe they are also looking at it. The one question, just a confirmation to the staff. I tried to do a little bit of creation here. I noted that the size of the garage and the uncovered deck is approximately 154.55 square meter, which is almost more than 3 times more than the 50 square meters. So my question, I just want confirmation here, is that the comparison in terms of the uncovered deck and minor additions not exceeding 50 square meters on the ground and outside, does it mean covering not more than 50 meters and also being outside? Or is it these are sort of independent? So what I'm trying to ask is, you have the more than 50 meters, but also is it like being outside the natural heritage? They have to be together. So in other words, what is being done here is actually completely outside the natural features, and also from hydrological sensitive features. Is that,
Through you, Mr. Chair, I actually had the same question myself. I had discussed this with the zoning examiner who completed the preliminary zoning review. So basically, it's any addition at all. So that includes open deck space, open deck space, covered deck space, any addition, including the garage. So anything beyond 50 square meters would require variance. And again, it's this is in place simply because of what the property is zoned. Oak Ridge is moraine, where there are natural heritage features. So that restriction essentially is in place in order to ensure, to make sure that there aren't going to be any impacts on any key natural heritage features. And in the event that any homeowner wanted to go beyond the 50 square meters, then a variance application would need to be submitted, and then it would be reviewed
yeah, okay.
to ensure that there, even if they're going beyond the 50 square meters, that there would not be any impacts on any key natural heritage features.
Okay. So I would assume on this one, the overall total is 221.15 square meters. That is the garage, the covered and covered decks, but they're outside and they're having no impact on the natural features and hydrological sensitive features. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I just had one, I guess I'll call it a comment. So we're looking at building a 3-car garage in addition to an existing 3-car garage. So we're going to are we going to a 6-car garage, or is it the intent to replace the existing 3-car garage with a new larger 3-car garage and do something else with the existing garage? Can I just get clarity on that?
No, it's gonna be a 6-car garage. I mean,
Well,
we've got 3
okay.
existing car garage. We have no intentions of doing, the client has no intentions of converting the existing 3-car garage into anything. At the very most, I don't know, he might put his lawnmower in one of the bays, maybe more toys, in quite honesty. But it is going to remain 3-car garage with proposed an added 3-car garage, which will probably be housing a motorhome or something due to the height, or a boat height. So.
Right. And the real reason I'm asking is because looking at the way the existing 3-car garage situated and the new addition of the 3-car garage, that rear portion of the existing garage, without seeing a floor plan, you wonder, is there going to be an access problem to that existing 3rd bay, if you will, towards the rear of the property? But I'm assuming that you're going to tell me, no, there's no problem there.
Through the chair, thank you very much for that question. It's a very good question to make, and it's unfortunate once again that you did not receive the floor plans, because it shows it clearly that there's an existing little rear storage room at the back of the existing 3-car garage that on the site plan looks like it's clipping the actual garage door. I know.
Right.
Thank you, through the chair. So we just, in the placement of the new proposed 3-car garage is such that the existing garage doors are clear of that addition.
Okay, that answers that question,
I'm
which
gonna
is
go- through the chair, I'm gonna go low tech on you if you can see that. And had a lot of coffee, so mine might tremor.
okay.
Did you get it?
I can pull that out. Yes.
Okay, thank you. You
All right,
need
no,
these
thank you
again,
for
Mr.
doing-
Chair? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. No, makes sense. I got it. But thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that very much.
no problem, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and looking at it from my perspective, you've worked around the existing tile bed, and you've worked around the existing septic tanks. There's enough separation there. I'm happy to see that. You've answered the drainage question. That'll get picked up at the building permit stage, I'm sure. So that would have covered off any concerns that I had. So thank you. And to the members of the committee if there are any other questions or a motion on this application. And who would like to take a stab at it? I know, Steve, you're one computer screen tonight, but
I am. I'll give it a shot. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that with respect to application MV-2022-33, that we approve the subject application, subject to the conditions outlined in Appendix A of the staff report.
and that covers it. Thank you. I'll look to members of the committee for a seconder. I see Daniel hand up. And with that, I'll call the question. All of those in favor? All hands up. Terrific. So that passes. So Mr. Mu and Mr. Nata, I'll thank you both for being with us for the entire meeting. And
Thank you.
Wish you both a very pleasant evening. I'll tell you that some of these meetings go an awful lot longer than tonight, but we seem to have been able to get through this part of the meeting. We have one more item to deal with, and we will do that.
Thank you.
Ready to
Have a
vote
nice
now.
evening, okay?
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So we do have one more item, but this will be short. This is item 6.6. It's minor variance MV 2022-32 for 101 Wells Street. And we have a request to defer this item to a future meeting. So I believe this came jointly from staff and the applicant. So with that, I'll look to the members of the committee for a motion. Steve, go right ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that with respect to minor variance application MV-2022-32 Kayat at 101 Wells Street, that we defer the subject application to a future date to be agreed upon between the applicant and staff.
Thank you very much. And I'll look to the committee for a seconder. Daniel, see it. And we'll call the question. All of those in favor of the deferral? And that carries. That completes the applications, gentlemen, for this evening, and I'll look to members of the committee if there is any new business. Lots of heads shaking no. That's wonderful. Item 8 on the agenda is adjournment, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Daniel, seeing your hand, and that doesn't require a seconder, so I will call the question and ask. All in favor of adjournment? Carries unanimous. And we are